Oh, I'm getting old. All right, so we're back. Next truck. This is a 99 to 02 regular cab Silverado. I've done a bunch of them, probably literally in the thousands at this point of this body style truck I've lowered. So we've got pretty good at it. The front, I haven't pulled all the parts out yet to see what he's got, but I know we're completely rebuilding the front end. He's got new upper lower control arms and a set of drop spindles. I did not see a set of drop coils in there, which is no big deal. We'll just trim the factory ones. It's going to ride the same. It's not going to beat you to death or all those other BS things you read online. I'll cut the coils on this truck, and I guarantee you if you rode in it and rode in one with lowering coils, you couldn't tell the difference. So the rear, we got a flip kit. We've got drop shackles, shock extenders, and a step notch from Trick Toys. We say it over and over again. We like using the notches from Garrett at Trick Toys. They always fit great. So we got a set for this truck. It doesn't absolutely need a step notch at 8 inches of rear drop. An underbed notch would be fine. But the customer elected to do the step notch through the bed. And majority of the time when I make them that low, they end up at 10. After they do the 8, they want it a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. And they end up at 10 or 11 inches of drop in the back. So I guess he's planning ahead. There's also a brand new set of 24-inch snowflakes in the back, 275/30 24 tires. And I'm going to show y'all some little tips and tricks on the front fenders and stuff like that, how we mini tub them for clearance on 24s. And yeah, if you haven't seen any of my older videos on doing these trucks, maybe this will be a refresher. If you're a new sub, hadn't seen the way I do them, we're going to jump in here and get this thing on the lift. Go ahead and start tearing this front suspension apart and see if we can get this thing knocked out by the end of the day. I doubt it, but we might. We'll try. All right, got this thing up in the air, got the wheel off. First thing that I always do, I'm gonna take my pocket knife and I'm gonna cut this thing. Just like this. Just to make it easier to get to that shock bolt. The truck's gonna be lower, so you can't really tell I trim it. But trying to push this up and get the wrench on, you always have to hold the top of the shock with a pair of vice grips. It just makes it a lot easier to get to. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna tear this entire front suspension apart. We have all new everything to go in here. We got new hubs, sway bar end links, shocks, inner and outer tie rod ends, upper and lower control arms, everything. So we're going to just blow this thing completely apart. And, yeah. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to blow it completely apart. It's just nuts and bolts. You should be able to figure it out. If you can't, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time. All right. Got this thing tore down all the way. The only thing left, sway bar, steering, bump stop. I'm going to pull the bump stop off. Get it out of the way. We don't need it anymore because we don't want this sitting on the control arm, holding the truck up, making it ride like crap. So the the alignment, whatever the hell you call them, keyways, I marked those where they were from the factory. I'm going to put them back there. That way at least I know the suspension won't be like way out of whack. When we do the lowering kit, it'll have some camber, but it'll be good enough to drive. Sometimes when you take them apart and you put them back together and you don't really adjust that, it's bad. So we're going to dig through these parts, get the new lower control arms, upper control arms put on, and then I will be back and I will show you what we're going to do with the coil spring. Also, to make life a little easier, take your hammer, hit these tabs, all 4 of them, move them out just a little bit. It'll help that lower control arm go in there easier. The reason we're replacing the entire control arm, these rivets from the factory, these are actually small. The factory ones are way bigger. You notice I couldn't get this ball joint to break loose. I beat the crap out of that spindle, but we're replacing the spindle and the control arm, so it doesn't really matter. It's going in the scrap pile regardless. But these rivets, so you have to grind the head completely off, drill almost all the way through to the bottom, and then beat them out. I have spent hours trying to get one ball joint out. It is way faster, way easier, and way more cost effective if you're paying somebody to do this to just buy the entire control arm. I noticed that the grease fitting's not in it. I did not see a grease fitting. I'm gonna go dig around over there and see. If not, I'm gonna have to track down some grease fittings to put in here. But we're gonna get this thing hung. I just want to show you this. You can go in, you can tap these, and they'll open up a little bit. Same for up here. You can move these out a little bit. I actually didn't take the hammer. I took the control arm before I pulled it out and kind of wiggled it and bent them out a little bit. When you tighten all that back down, it's going to close right back up. So, all right, so we're doing a 2-inch drop spindle. He did not bring coils, so we're going to cut these because we don't want it sitting way up in the front. We're going to get 4.5 inches of drop total with the spindle. So this truck is a V6 truck. If it was a V8, I would cut just a hair. So let's just say there's a half a coil. I would go about right here and cut that. But with this being a V6 truck, it's got a lighter front end, so I'm going to cut 3/4 of a coil. I'm going to come over here and cut that much off, and then we're going to stick it back in. I'm just going to take my cutoff wheel right here and cut it off, and we're going to stick that back in and keep putting this thing back together. All right, we're bolting this back together. So I've got my drop spindle here. I don't know what brand these are. They were used. But the lower ball joint, all this stuff, he bought like a whole front kit to rebuild the front end. The box says Detroit Axle, and I've seen those online. You can get them on like Amazon or eBay or whatever. They sell like a whole front end kit. The lower ball joint needs a cotter key. Didn't come with a cotter key or a grease fitting. It probably did, but the original box is gone. So I'm gonna have to source a grease fitting for that. The upper had a grease fitting and has a lock nut, not one with a cotter key. So I got that put together. The new hub is on. Like I say, with the original drop spindle or the used drop spindle. We still got to do the steering. I'm gonna wait on that and get both sides together and then put it all together. But I left all these bolts loose. It makes it a lot easier to get everything together. It's not bound up, and I've got weight on it now, so it's down. It's off the lift, or it's not off the lift, but it's almost enough pressure with this to pick it up off the lift. So I'm just going to tighten everything down right there. I know that's not full weight on the truck, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten all these down, and then keep putting this thing back together. We got to do the brakes, brake rotors, brake calipers, plug all this stuff in, and put the shock in, and we'll be done with this side. All right, I got this side put together as far as I can. I got the shock in. I did have to let the weight down on the suspension to collapse it in order to get the top of the shock through. The Beltec shocks also come with a second nut, so you can double nut it so it don't come loose. It also comes with a cover, but for whatever reason that cover would not fit through that lower control arm. I don't know if it's because it's aftermarket or what the deal was, but it would not fit, so I just quit with it. If you notice, there's no sway bar, and I've got new sway bars. I've got new inner and outer tie rod ends. I'm not going to put those on until I get the suspension done. This, I'm not going to put it on because now this distance is way shorter than it was because of the shorter coil and the shorter shock. And trying to get that in with the other side still hooked up to the factory stuff is a nightmare, so I always just leave them loose. I'm going to do the other side, and then when I get ready to do the sway bar on that side, I'll come over here and do this one. That lets me be able to pivot the sway bar up and down because it's not hooked up to either side, and gets the sway bar end links in easier. But all this stuff is tight. Let me give you the part number on that shock. The customer ordered these. I usually order the Beltec 8000s, but he bought the Street Performers. Part number is 10103I. So I've actually never heard of that part number. But it had auto part, whatever those were. I've never heard of those either. I know them sun guns was tight on top. So this shock, like I say, this is a full droop. Shock's fully maxed out. There's a ton of throw left there, so I know it's going to be fine. I'm going to go over here and do the other side real quick. I'm not going to show you that because it's just a mirror opposite of this side. And when I come back, we'll do the sway bars and the steering. All right, so I got this side put together. I still got to do my grease fitting here. But the sway bar is going to show you this. So now that, oh God, it's really stiff though. Now that both sides are loose, you can move it up and down to get this new sway bar end link in there. For whatever reason, I don't know if he didn't get one or forgot to put it in the truck, but I only have one. So the ones I took off look brand new. I'm just going to put the other one back on the other side and use the new one on this side. And then we're going to jack this thing up after I get these on, the sway bars on, and we're going to do the steering. We got to get up under there to the rack. So, all right, next we're going to change these tie rod ends. We got to get these boots off. There's a clamp here. You squeeze with some pliers, move it down, and then there is a steel, like it's not like a hose clamp where you can loosen it. It's you pull it tight and then cut the end off. It's kind of like a zip tie, but still. We got to cut that loose, get this boot off so we can break this inner tie rod end loose on both sides, and then we'll reattach that with, we'll just put a zip tie around it, because all that does is holds the boot on. And like when you buy aftermarket tie rod ends, they come with a zip tie to put it back on with. So we're going to get this boot off, and I'll come back and show you how to break them loose next. All right, we got our boots pulled down. There's a little pink plastic ring that slides over this to kind of hold it on. You can't really just pull it off, so what I do is take a flathead and I'll tap on this side a little bit, tap on this side, drive it back and get both sides back. And then there's a slot here to put your wrench on, but these things are never ever turned the right way. So you get a big pair of pliers, you can usually break it loose. I just cranked on both sides of this and I cannot get it to break loose. So Pops is here, we about to put that big old pipe wrench on it and see if we can get them to break loose. They're regular thread, so we're not trying to turn them backwards or anything crazy. They just will not break loose. They've probably been there since 2002. So, oh, you got it. I broke the rack one. Nice, broke loose. Very nice. This thing's also got this little crossover tube that goes between the two boots. You got to put that back on. It's gonna leak fluid if it ever starts leaking around the seals. So we're gonna get this spun out. It's gonna take a little while because it is tight. All right, so next we're gonna do our tie rod ends. We got our new ones. This is the inner, outer, obviously. We got the old and all finally. We had to clamp down on that baby with them that pipe wrench. We finally got it broke loose, spun it off. But it would be real easy if you could just put this one on there and that was it. But no, you got to take this apart to get this boot and this clamp off because you got to have this. If you don't, that's not going to last very long. So I'm going to put this in the vise over there, break it loose, and then spin this off and get my boot and all off. And I'll be back in just a minute once I get that done. We're just going to break this jam nut loose, then spin this off. You can put a wrench right here and spin it off, and we're going to clamp this this inner tie rod in the vise to hold it. So, all right, let me do that and I'll be right back. Also, it's worth noting to get this pretty close on your alignment to get it back kind of where it was. Before I take it apart, I'm going to measure from the mounting flange, like where it tightens up against, to the center of the grease fitting, which is about 15 and 9/16. It's kind of hard to do it with a camera, but about 15 and 9/16. I'm gonna write that on the table so I don't forget it. And that is the passenger side. Let me write that. So, all right, I got my measurement. So once I break this apart, I can put this one back from here to the center of the grease fitting. That measurement, and put it back on, and it should be, in theory, pretty close. All right, so we got this one set from here to here, matches our measurement from earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the rack. Same procedure to spin it on. Use you can actually get a wrench on there. It's flat on opposing sides, but sometimes it stops and it's kind of hard to get a wrench on, and you may have to use a pair of pliers to turn it a little bit more, and then you can put your wrench back on it. I don't remember what size it is. It's big, I know that. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put this side on, put together the other side, and I will be back once we get all that done. All right, I got the, hang on. All right, I got the tie rods in, both of them, with the rubber boot. Got my clamps on under the bottom. We just secure it with a zip tie. Just pull it tight, and it's gonna keep it from going anywhere on both sides. You also have to get this little crossover rod in there. You see it? It loops up, goes over this mount, straight across to the other side. You can get it in there. Like I say, we measured our adjustments, so that's pretty close. We can rough it in once we get it on the ground. And the front is done. The only thing I'm got left to do, I'm gonna mini tub this thing, the fender wheels up here, and I'll show you how we do that. That's just for a little bit of extra tire clearance. We're not gonna cut anything into under the hood. Give me just a second and I will show you how I do that. And it's very simple. If you got a cutoff wheel in about 5 minutes, you can do it to yours, and it helps tremendously. All right, so I got these mini tubs. You just go in, and you cut this pocket out in the fender. This fender slopes from this fender lip up at an angle. Let me find the piece, that piece. And when you lower these things, it rubs really bad when you hit dips. So as long as your tire tucks, it'll go on up in there. That means it gives it a couple extra inches of clearance before it starts rubbing up here. So if you don't do this, it's gonna rub like crazy. I cut a little bit through right there, but I didn't go all the way through. Here, you can bring this back a little farther, but the tire's up here, not way back there. So, like I say, the passenger side is a little different. It's got, it's just shaped a little different. But there's also a foam thing in here. What it does is it seals off the fender, your cold air duct for the air box is right here, and it just seals that off. So, anyway, long story short, it's fine. It'll just hang out right there. If your tire rubs it, you'll never know it because it won't make any noise. There's also a nipple sticking down right here. You could beat that up if you wanted to. I normally don't, so, but all this front ends together. We're about to throw these tires, wheels on, and I'll give y'all the first look on what it looks like on the ground. What are you doing in here?
Don't mind me.
You trying to tear down spider webs?
Tape measure a while ago. I had it all the way up there, and it failed.
That's my new one. Please don't break it. Thank you.
I probably did.
Trying to hook that spider web?
Yeah.
You got it. Good job. All right, so here's what we got for the front. I went ahead and took the bed bolts out while I was in the air, unplugged the tail lights. I got to take the gas door loose. But I've accumulated a bunch of front end parts for this truck over here. And for whatever idiotic reason, I put them right in the way of my cherry picker where I normally take the bed off. So I got to get out here and move all this stuff over out the way. But we're going to wait till in the morning to do that. I'm going to go in here and get cleaned up. I'm a little filthy. And take the family out to eat a steak. So until tomorrow, girl. And I'm pretty sure that exhaust is going to have to go because it's going to be dragging the ground. But the front isn't quite as low as I thought it would be. And I haven't drove it yet. It may end up settling just a little bit. But this wheel is basically flush with the fender. The driver's side one is sticking out a little bit and it's turned. I've got to adjust the tie rod end out. And I may pull the camber in just a hair more. It's still got plenty of adjustment. But like I said, I haven't drove it yet. I'll wait till I get the back done and kind of, that one looks like it's turned in a little bit too. So I got to do some adjusting on those, pull the tape on them. But anyway, there you go. And it may go down a little bit more after we drive it. I'm not sure. But the back is going to be a lot lower. I hope the wheels took a little better in the back, or we're going to be doing some major fender rolling on that thing. All right, it's been a couple days since the last clip you just saw. I was going to knock it out Saturday for the customer, and I sent him a picture of the front Friday, and he said it's going to be like the 16th before I can come get it, which is this weekend. It's now Tuesday, and yeah, so I pulled it out and we put a motor in the S10, which you saw in the last video. So I'm going to jump back on this thing now, go ahead and do the back, and I will show you what we're going to do. We're going to do a step notch and a flip kit and drop shackles and shock extenders. Shock relocation kit up to the bars, and I'll show you when we get there. All right, so we got this thing in here. We got it on the lift. I got the tires off, everything. First thing I noticed is the bushings in his drop shackles are completely shot, so we're going to have to replace those. It's also got shock extenders on it. I don't know if you can see those or not. They don't look like they're installed correctly. They're supposed to be pointed this way. So he actually has another set of those over there, which tells me he probably didn't know it even had those on it. And I don't know why it has those on it with just shackles. It doesn't need them at all. So we're going to remove those, put the new ones on, and do the flip kit and replace his shackles with some different ones. And that'll be an 8-inch drop. And then we have a Trick Toys step notch kit here with the crossbars over there, and the shock relocation tabs are over there. And he's also got some Street Performer shocks. I will give you the part number when I get to that point. But I'm gonna get this shock snatched off, get the jack stands under the rear, and get the U-bolts loose, leaf springs loose, and get ready to flip this thing. And when I get to that point, I will show you the parts. All right, I'm gonna show you how I do the flip on the leaf springs. I've got the rear end loose. All the U-bolts are off. They're on the ground. I've got 3 jack stands under. I got one on each side, one under the pinion so that the rear end doesn't roll forward. I've got my shackles loose. I've got my front bolts loose, and I've got it pushed through this outside eyelet, and that's it. You don't have to take the bolt completely out. So we got this bolt out. We're just gonna pick this leaf spring up, and because it's not in that front eyelet, we can just pivot this leaf spring around. Before you go any farther, you want to make sure that you put this bolt back through and put the nut on it, because if you bolt all this up and then try to push that back through, it's going to be really hard. On this truck, with it being a regular cab, the front bolt on the driver's side, the gas tank is there, but you can still get to it. On an extended cab, it's the same way, but a crew cab, it is not. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, I've showed several times on how we do the crew cabs. We drill a hole through the end of the bolt and put welding wire in it, and then we can push the bolt through, flip the leaf spring around, and then pull the welding wire to get the bolt back out. It's pretty simple, and it's saved me a lot of time over the years, so I don't have to drop the gas tank to push the bolt back out. So I'm going to go do the other side, same setup, and then once we do that, we'll let the lift down to bring this rear end up, and we'll start mocking up the flip kit. But I also have to change his shackles. The bushings on his are completely shot. Let me show you here. So you can see this one, it's got new bushings in it. This is the set I had on the shelf. But a lot of these shackles you buy them in, they're like 30 bucks online. They've got really cheap bushings in them, and they just fall apart and deteriorate over the years. So I actually run into this. Honestly, I'm more impressed when I pull shackles out and they're not deteriorated, because most of the time they're just like this. They're just in there clanging around. And to tell on myself a little bit, my red 87 C10, this is actually a problem on it. It's missing the bushing. The last time I drove it, I heard it about clanging around just like this. So it's really annoying, but we're gonna fix it for you. And yeah, I'll show you the flip kit in just a second. All right, so I got this flip kit unboxed. It's really simple. If you've never done one, I know a lot of people have done them over the years. You got your flip kit bracket, very simple saddle style flip kit. It just goes up into the factory leaf spring perch on your rear end. There is a hole in it. Do you see this hole? This hole goes towards the front of the truck. On every flip kit I have ever seen, that hole goes to the front. If you put that on backwards, your rear end is going to be too far forward in the fender wells, and your drive shaft is going to be too long, and it's going to blow the rear seal out in your transmission, and then you're going to be calling me like, what did I do wrong? And I'm going to be like, stupid, that hole goes to the front, not the back. Simple. This is your lower U-bolt plate. See the two holes? It needs to be in that hole. It's offset. So this one's in the center, this is to the front, just like the flip kit. Goes to the front. And then this is your top perch. It sits on top of the factory saddle. I will show you that, and then you're going to reuse your factory square U-bolts. In some cases I have run into with these trucks, the factory U-bolts are not long enough to work with a flip kit. Honestly, the majority of the time I run into that. They're not long enough. You can sometimes get a couple of them started, and I'm not riding around with two threads holding the rear end under my truck. I'm not going to do it. So sometimes you have to get longer U-bolts. You need to check that out. If the threads aren't at least to the bottom of that nut, don't run that. Go get some longer U-bolts. Do yourself a favor. Protect yourself. Don't die or kill somebody else in the process. They're like 40 bucks at O'Reilly's. So I'm going to get this mocked up real quick and I'll show you. Also, some of these flip kits, this hole is not big enough to go over the factory center bolt. The bottom of the leaf springs has a round head. It's a bolt that goes through the center of the leaf springs, holds them together. It's round. The top is a nut with the thread sticking out. You can take the leaf springs apart, flip the bolt. You got to have a pair of vice grips, take it loose. Majority of the time, these flip kits come with the hole big enough that you do not have to take that loose. The 07 ups, yes, you have to take those loose pretty much every time, because the threads stick out so far on those trucks that it will hit the axle tube. On these trucks, that is not a problem. So what I normally do is I just take my reamer, I ream that hole out just a little bit. It doesn't need much. The rounded head on the bottom of the leaf springs is basically the same size as the nut on top. It just doesn't have those 6 corners. So you just need it big enough to go over those 6 corners, and that's it. So I'm going to go ream these out, and then we will put it together. I just wanted to let y'all know that. So if you run into that problem, you need to make sure that this goes all the way down against the leaf spring. If you put it on there and it's all cocked up and everything, and your truck makes more than 11 horsepower, it could possibly roll this out from under it and make the rear end come loose. You don't want that. That's bad. Even though I've seen some stuff come through here that I don't know how in the world it didn't fall apart. So it may be harder to throw these out than I think, but in my eyes, just do it right. You're already here. All right, so I got my flip kit in there. It's set all the way in there. I've got my top pad in, and let me show you what I was talking about. If you notice, these U-bolts are not long enough. The flip kit is almost all the way down. It's up just a hair, but it's not enough to make a difference. So you see what I'm referring to. So this is the factory U-bolt, and these are the new U-bolts. that I use, they are off a 4-wheel drive truck that has a 1-inch block from the factory, so they're 1 inch longer, and these are perfect. You can go to the parts store and you can buy this exact same U-bolt. I always keep some in stock, and then if I need them on a truck like this, I just charge the customer accordingly for them, and that keeps me from having to go to the parts store and get them. I just kind of keep them here and on hand, and then I will put these up because I never know when I need them. I've got 400 sets of U-bolts over there. So I'm going to get these stuck on. Like I say, you can see the length difference there. It's only 1 inch longer, but it is perfect for this flip kit. So if you're doing this, be prepared. You're probably going to have to go buy U-bolts. I don't know why they design them like this, but they do. I do know why, because it saves them money. They don't have to supply you with U-bolts when you buy the flip kit. And most of these things are most of the ones I install are the really cheap ones. Let me turn this. The really cheap ones off like Amazon or eBay or whatever. You can get a flip kit for literally like 40 bucks. Sometimes cheaper. And they don't come with U-bolts. And this is a problem that you run into. If you buy a Beltec or McGahee's or whatever, it's going to fit, and it's going to have the right length U-bolts, and it's going to just work. So I'm just trying to prepare you. If you bought a cheaper flip kit, you're probably going to have to buy U-bolts. If you get online and you're looking on eBay or Amazon or whatever, and you see a flip kit that has U-bolts, generally they are rounded, not square at the top. If a flip kit comes with U-bolts, it's going to be round. It's just going to go around the axle tube, and it's going to work perfect. They're going to be like $10 more than the one without the U-bolts. Buy the one with the U-bolts. It saves you from having to go to rallies and spend 40 bucks on some different ones or try to track down some. So that's just a little bit of what they call bolt experience I've learned over the years. And I'm going to get this bolted together, and I'll be back. All right, I'm going to try to explain this next segment without actually showing you, because it's really difficult to do and film at the same time. So I've got a set of Trick Toys notches. Garrett always puts his logo, his dead nut center, right here, so you don't have to find the center of the notch. The bottom of that shield-shaped thing there with his logo is the center. Completely collapsed the suspension with the flip kit on. We drew our line straight up. It's generally right where this hole is. This one was a little bit farther forward, no big deal. And then I held the notch up on the back side. I sit it on top of the frame on the inside, and then the front is boxed here. You can't. So I held it up, made sure it was flush with the bottom, and then I marked where it lines up with the frame. On the inside, like it was actually like right here. I just come over a little bit. That way I don't have to fight this to get it in there. Same on this side. I just made it bigger. But these two lines need to be in the right spot. Also, you can see where the notch goes down here. We're going to cut this section out right through here and cut all this out and cut this out. But before you start cutting this, you need to put a jack stand under the back of the frame and do one side at a time. Because if you go to cutting all that out and that frame droops, your bed gap is going to be jacked up, your frame's going to be bent. You just don't want that. So the suspension's completely collapsed now. I'm about to pick it up, pull one of my jack stands out. I'm going to move it to back here, let the lift down until it barely touches. I don't want to put a bunch of pressure on it, because then you could cut it, it could go the other way. So you just want to keep it, just let the lift down until it barely touches and stop there. If you're doing it with a floor jack, put your jack stand under the cab, put your floor jack there, just put a little bit of pressure on it. You're just trying to keep it from sagging or going up. So I'm going to cut this with a plasma cutter. You can cut it with a cutoff wheel. I have done a pile of them. You will probably actually have a better cut with a cutoff wheel. And to show you that you can, I may actually cut it with a cutoff wheel. Yeah, I think I will. I'm going to cut that with a cutoff wheel just to show you that you don't have to have a plasma cutter to do this. You do have to have a welder, though. You're going to need that. That's kind of important. But I'm going to cut this out, and I'll be back, and we'll show you how it fits. This thing got a little bit of, it was sitting over there, and it rained and blowed a little bit on it and got a little surface rust on it. I got to clean that up. But I'm going to go ahead and get this cut after I put my jack stand there. Don't forget it. I'm telling you again, don't forget your jack stand. I'm going to get this cut, and I'll be right back. All right, first try. We got it in there. Fits beautiful. You do a good job marking it. It fits good. Here's where I was talking about I cut it a little big on the inside, because we're going to cut that out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Also, I don't cut it all the way over here, because this notch is flat. If you lay it on the table, it's completely flat. This frame is not flat, straight. So what I do is I mark this one, and then I lay a level, that level, I lay it up here and I draw my line straight forward. And that makes my notch go in square. If I cut this, that notch is going to be crooked, if that makes sense. So it does leave a little overhang there. You got a nice place to weld. Bam, bam. So I'm going to clean all this up real quick. So I got some fresh metal to weld to. I got to clean up inside there and down here and across the bottom. Around there, I'm going to grind it. Give me some fresh metal. Like I say, wire wheel this, clean it back up. And we're going to get ready to weld that in. Oh, and this is the easy side, by the way. The other side, we're going to have to pull the gas tank, drop it to do all this, which sucks because this thing has got a full freaking tank of gas.
I can show you how it goes. Catch a wave and let it flow. Grab a bag and hit the road. Then on go from coast to coast. Drive it like an auto show. Steakhouse dinners with a toast.
Alright, got this baby burning in all the way around. Down the back side, on the inside, bottom. I cut the center out. I welded it. It looks like crap because there's always undercoating on the inside of the frame that I always don't get off because I'm an idiot. And you can see it like right here. It's just oozing out. But yeah, we got that welded. Everything's good with that one. Now we gotta go do the other side, which sucks because we need to drop the gas tank because it's got to come from the inside. And I will show you on Garrett's notch how he notches the actual notch to clear the gas tank. So let me go over there and move some stuff, and yeah, I'll be back. Hello. Y'all look at my peg leg pirate. She got injured at work. Her desk fell on her foot. So we got to go to the emergency room last night and look at it, and it's not fractured. So, and now she's mad because she's on camera, giving me the death stare. Hi, boo. Love you. All right, so I got my gas tank dropped down. There's two 15mm bolts that hold the straps on the bottom. You just take those loose. I got two floor jacks. If you do it with one, it can be done. I've done it. It's a lot easier if you got two and you put one at the back, one at the front, because when you try to put one under it and all the gas runs on one side, it'll fall off your jack every freaking time. It's still aggravating with two, to be honest, but I dropped it down enough that I can get completely to this to cut it. I got it marked same way I did the other side. I'm going to pull a measurement off the back of the frame just to make sure that my marks are in the right spot before I cut anything. And I'm also going to transfer my jack stand to this side. Don't forget that. It's important. Don't want your frame sagging. Remember that. If I can't teach you anything about this whole install, you don't want your frame tweaked up when you get done. So same thing here. We brought it over. Straight line. It's not going to come all the way to the outside of the frame. That way it's square. Also, Garrett notches his notch. See right there where he takes it in. What that is for is to clear the gas tank. So once I weld this in, it's going to be really close to that gas tank. So he does that to make sure that it clears. And we appreciate him for that because we ain't trying to rub no holes in customers' gas tanks. So I'm going to pull a couple measurements here, make sure everything's the same as that side, and then we're going to go ahead and get this cut out and get this ready to weld into. So I'll be right back, and when I come back in 3, 2, 1, it'll be done. All right, we got it mocked up. My line, apparently my square wasn't real square. So it's a little tighter at the back than the front, but it's fine. It's all the way in there. It's flush. I would rather the whole thing be like that. But all in all, not bad. This one's pretty good. Same down here. You can actually see now what I'm talking about with the notch. So see, if that wasn't there, it would be sticking way out here. And it's not good for gas tank clearance. So, and we still got something to weld to there all the way around. And we're going to get this one welded in real quick. And yeah, I got to take it back out, do a little grinding, but it'll be welded back in when I come back. All right, got my notch welded in, center cut out, welded. Got my gas tank back in. I just took my floor jacks, picked it right back up. It went right back in. And you can see here the clearance that I was talking about. If that wasn't cut, it would be rubbing the side of the gas tank. And that is not good. And that's still hot. So, yeah. That's one of the little touches that Garrett does on his notches that, you know, experience. I mean, he's learned it the hard way. And that's the way he does them. And we appreciate him for them. So next we're going to cut these bars. I just measured the front one. I'm going to go ahead and get it cut, get it tacked in. I'll come back and measure this one. That way I don't get them confused or whatever. But they're going to have to be cut down I got 36 1/4, I believe is what it ended up being. I already got it marked. But I'm about to cut this one, and I'll get these two tacked in, and then we'll come back and do the shocks. All right, so this thing already had shock extenders on it, but they were installed wrong. They were installed straight up and down. So the bottom of the shock was actually directly under the axle, and the old shock's over there. But there was a big rub spot on it where it had been rubbing the axle tube, and it was busted. So you see the oil all over that. We're going to install the ones that he brought. They've got sleeves in them. These did not. They had 2 bolts holding them in. And this style requires you to drill a hole and put another bolt in the back. This style does not. I'm going to use this style, and I've already got that one installed over there. As you can see, it kicks it away from the axle and down. And that's the style we want to use. So that's what this does too, also, obviously. But you have to install it right. Like I say, it was installed straight up and down. It's supposed to be kicked out like that. So I'll throw those on the shelf. I might need them one day in a tight. But we're going to get these installed and get our shocks out. I will give you the part number when I get that out. And I'll be right back with these put on, and we'll keep going. Let me show you what I was talking about here on that shock. You see where it's been rubbing that mount, and it is it's busted and got a hole in it. Let's see what we got here for shocks. We have got a Street Performer, part number 2209FF. I believe I usually use the 2210s. They're a little shorter, but I think on this truck here we'll be just fine. So we're gonna get those out, get our tabs that come with the Trick Toy stuff mocked up on the shocks, get them on there, compress the suspension, and we will keep on keeping on. All right, so I got these shocks mocked up. I just kind of eagle eye them up where they look good, where they're standing up. I measure over from here to here, and then I make it match on the other side, and I also match this angle. That side was 46.9. Tack that one at 47. Bam, close enough. That is done. We need to weld these tabs out and these bars out. I'm going to pull these shocks back off to do that. But I am going to put a couple more tacks on it because in the past I've had the tabs break off whenever I got to take this bolt loose. I always snug it up so that you know, it holds these spaced apart like they need to be. But I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more tacks on that so they don't break off and I have to redo that. And that is done. Next we got to figure out this brake line bracket and put it wherever we're going to put it. We may bend it over here and put it behind this shock once we pull the shock off, or I may mount it to the bottom of this bar right here. I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out whenever we get to that point. And you can see this shock extender back here, how it gets the bottom of that shock away from the axle, and now the shock is standing pretty much straight up, so should ride a whole lot better. All right, so we're back next day. First thing I did, went ahead and threw some spray paint on this before it gets any colder tonight. Still pretty cold down here in South Georgia. We had that little cold front come through. It's supposed to be back warm again tomorrow, but for right now it's still a little cold. But I got all this painted. About to stand this bed up so I can go ahead and cut the hole out for it. While I'm doing that, hopefully this paint will start drying, and then I can come back and put the shocks in and the zip ties around the wires, clean all that up nice and neat. And also, I really need to take the spare tire out, just because it's going to be dragging the ground everywhere he goes, because this thing's going to be pretty low. So, but I'm going to go ahead and get this bed stood up, and I will show you how I mark the holes. Mark it to cut the holes, sorry. All right, so here's how we're going to figure out where to cut our hole. The tab is a little bit farther off of the back of the notch than just where the notch is. So I usually come like somewhere around in there, maybe, and measure from this bed bolt hole, which would be the third row of bed bolts, back, and I'm going to go 11.5. And then, I don't know if you can see this or not, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to do the same, and we'll go about that. And it is also 11.5, so that's where I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to come over here, see if I can get y'all over here without breaking anything. All right, so we're going to set y'all up here. Let's go back a little bit where you can see what I'm doing. So get your handy dandy Sharpie out of your pocket. I know you got one. And like Blue's Clues, what was our number? What was it? It was 11.5, right? So we're going to hold this in the center of that. Gonna go in to 11 and a half. I'm gonna do that on both of them. 11 and a half. Then I'm gonna do the same down here. I'm gonna put this at 11 and a half. And I'm gonna mark it. All right, we're gonna go in there and get our real long level now. I'm gonna hold it up here and I'm gonna draw my line straight across. And then we're gonna cut this thing out. We're gonna use the Metabo, the cutoff wheel, and the Sawzall. We use the Sawzall right in here. Just it's easier to get in there than trying to do it with a cutoff wheel. So I'm gonna get these drawn out and we'll get ready to cut this thing out. Put y'all on time lapse, let y'all watch it. All right, got this thing back on the ground, got the new wheels on it, got the spare tire out, got everything painted, shocks is on, all the lines are zip tied, so nothing's gonna drag. I got the bed cut, I laid the bed back down. I'm about to put this bed dolly right here back in it, pick it up, and back it up, truck up under it, and we're gonna get this bed put back on. We'll spin the truck around, put the bed bolts in, and check tire fender clearances. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to roll the fenders a little bit, but that's no big deal. And get this thing out of here. I got a lot of cleaning up to do, and we got some other stuff going on that's about to start, so I need to get this thing out of here now. So give me just a minute and I'll get the bed on. We'll show you what it looks like. All right, we got the bed on this thing and the wheels do not tuck at all. I turned it around in the yard and it's already trying to cut up the sidewalls. So instead of rolling these, because rolling them makes it have this funky little flare, I'm gonna come in and trim this fender lip all the way up to the edge, all the way on both sides. And other than that, we should be good, I think. But we're gonna go ahead and do that. And I've got to put the bolts back in the gas door. I always leave the gas door open so I don't forget to put the bolts in them. And then people walk by and close it and I forget to put the bolts in every time. But everything looks good except this. So I'm gonna get that cut real quick and we'll put the wheels on and set this thing on the ground. All right, so I got the bed on last night, got tail lights hooked back up, everything was done. The tire and wheel combo does not tuck, so I ended up putting them back on the lift, putting the bed bolts in. I pulled the rear wheels off, took the cutoff wheel and cut most of the fender lip off, and it was still really, really tight. So I just took a piece of 1.5 DOM, got the kid to back up, we rolled the fender just a little bit. It's perfect. I can get my finger all the way around the tire. Both sides, we just went ahead and flared it just a hair, just enough to make them tuck, and they are ready to go. So I'm gonna go test drive it, make sure everything's good. Customer's coming to pick it up over the weekend, so it'll be out of here in a couple days, and I'll go get y'all some shots of what it looks like so you can decide if this is the drop kit that you want to put on your truck. So it's also worth noting that you do not have to do the step notch for an 8-inch rear drop. You can do an underbed notch. Trick Toys makes one, Reckless, a bunch of people, a ton of people make underbed notches, and you can do that without cutting the bed with this drop, no problem. So I also roughed in the steering, got the wheels pretty straight. It's still got an alignment, but it's pretty close. It's good enough he can take it and drive it to the alignment shop, and he's not gonna have any trouble with it. So yeah, I've done a good job on this one. But this is the kind of truck that she wants to drive to high school.
Yes.
So I'm going to be on the lookout for a 99 to 02 V8 truck, regular cab short bed, and probably in the next year or so, and then we can build it something similar like this. It will not be on reps. I don't care. I will not put reps on it. Will not put snowflakes on it. I might would put Trailblazer SS replicas on it.
Oh, deal.
No.
Yeah.
I don't care. I put stocks on it. I put stock 16s on it.
Okay, well, hopefully I have some money by then. I'll buy my own.
So I'm gonna go test drive this thing, get y'all some clips of it, and I appreciate y'all checking it out. This is like I said, about a 4.8 drop, and on 24s with 275/30 Lexani tires. So on a 24x10 Snowflake, and yeah, it's all in all, it's a really clean truck. It's a low mile truck too, 130 something thousand. Unfortunately, this one is V6. I I can't handle. I gotta have a V8 one. So
Well,
tell them bye.
bye.
Toodaloo.
Hey, I refuse to let a bad night ruin me, just doesn't get through to me. Even back then, getting stopped by the truancy. Posted with the bros and turned the bond into a mutiny. One of them and then we handle it brutally. Y'all not sick, you got immunity and lack the continuity. I leave them in the dust and stack bread cause I'm moving things. Speed reached a new high when I started removing things. I had to drop the baggage out the plane before I flew a wing. Or let the engine fail, cold day in hell, I let a pest prevail. Let's put them to the test and let the pressure scale. Yeah, that'll do it, that'll separate the weak from the real, getting to it. I did it for the love, but got no love for what I did. So that's why I'm moving different. Played a part, but sometimes it's like I'm missing a script. I write my own, cause nobody gonna tell it like it is. Yeah, and nobody gonna tell it like it is. Cause nobody gonna tell it like it is. So I be showing them the way. Living by example, put my life on display. Put me in the game, watch them make a play. Live a life for the day, sun shining through the gray. Ay, so I be showing them the way. Living by example, put my life on display. Put me in the game, watch them make a play. Live a life for the day.